Hi everyone, it's me, Crystalline, your proactive, conscious aging life coach. How are you guys doing today? I'm joyful in the Lord and in the power of His might. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for all my very loyal subscribers. If you're watching this video, put your hands up in the comments section. And if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get my videos just as soon as I upload them. And please make a lot of comments down in the comment section because I love it when we have a fun discussion. Today, I'm going to talk about my Skinny Tok weight loss hacks, and I'm going to tell you how I gained a little weight, about 11 pounds, how, why, and what I've done to get those pounds off as soon as possible. So this may be a kind of long video, and before I get started, I do want to give some disclaimers, okay? Number one, I am not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not even a fitness influencer, okay? I am just someone who has needed to get some pounds off, and I've been successful at doing that. So I want to share those things with you in this video, okay? The other thing is I am going to talk about some Skinny Tok information that you might find slightly offensive. And so if that's the case, you might want to just go on and scroll off of this video because I'm just going to tell it the way I found it. All right, so without further ado, let's get going. First of all, I want to talk about what Skinny Tok is. Now, I found this group of, or this amalgamation of videos when one day an influencer, a weight loss influencer named Whitney Holcomb came up in my YouTube feed. First of all, though, I got to tell you something. This is hack number one, okay? I brought God into the equation and I started really praying because I was having a hard time losing weight. At that time, the Lord just kind of brought it to my mind that my body at that time was not ready to release any weight because I was still recovering from a very severe back injury that didn't get treatment until November of last year. And I thought, well, once I got treatment, I'm just going to be able to get right back into the game. And that just was not the case, okay? As a matter of fact, I still had like a little limp in my right leg for a few months. And it went on for a long time until finally one day I'm walking and I realized, oh, okay, I'm not limping anymore. So my body took quite a long time to recover. So I started praying. That's hack number one. And I have to go back as I do. As I was praying, this Whitney Holcomb came up in my feed and I looked at her. Now, this is a young lady who wrote a book called, what's the name of her book? She talks about how she was 14 years old and she had to lose 100 pounds. I think the name of the book is How I Lost 100 Pounds Naturally. Well, she was 14, and that was quite a few years ago. I think she's now 34. But anyway, I watched her video, and I kind of liked it, okay, because she takes a tough love approach to weight loss, and that really helped me a lot. So as I had been watching her videos, all these other weight loss videos started showing up in my feed, and I started watching them. And it turns out that most of these videos were from TikTok influencers who were tough love weight loss influencers. Well, this really struck a chord to me because that's what I need. I don't know about you. And again, I'm only going to speak from my experience. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm going to talk to you about some things that have worked for me. I need that tough love approach. I remember when I was growing up, my dad was stern. And if we were about to start to cry or something or act out when he didn't want us to, he would just give us the look. Just like that. Okay? And the look was like, I know you are not about to start some mess right now. Okay? Or the look could also mean get yourself together. All right? And so in this instance, the look meant get yourself together. I call it the Kenneth Johnson straighten up look, because that's what he used to say, straighten up. And yeah, I kind of felt that when I was watching these influencers. Basically, that's what I got. I got my dad telling me to straighten up. Stop babying myself, stop making excuses, stop overeating, stop acting like I was sick, because I was no longer sick. So these videos really appealed to me. Now, I have assembled a playlist in my public playlist called Skinny Tok videos, okay? If you want to go look at any of the ones that I looked at, you can go there and you can see what I watch. I will give you a warning though. A lot of the people in these videos have a really bad potty mouths, and that's the only thing I don't like, because I feel like all that cursing takes away from their credibility. They might be saying something that I agree with, but the minute they start cursing, I just got to scroll on past. So anyway, you might find that too. So I'm just giving you a warning ahead of time. So, okay, so that was the first thing. I got into Whitney Holcomb. I started seeing the Skinny Tok videos, and I started remembering some things. And I started to realize, yeah, okay, I need that tough love approach, and that's what I'm going to listen to. So number 2 of my hacks is you have to fix your mindset, all right? Your mindset is you have to visualize your goal, okay? I have always kept my body relatively slim. I'm 5'9". I call my fighting weight about 150 pounds. I've always tried to keep that as much as I could, and I was doing really well when my back messed up on me. Okay, I'm not even gonna go into that long, soliloquy about what happened. You can see it back in some of my other videos, which I'll show you right there. Yeah, I was holding my weight really well until that happened. When that happened, it was very, very difficult for me, number one, to exercise. I could not exercise at that same level that I could before my back was killing me. Second of all, pain causes disordered eating. Okay, you can look that up. I did the research. Pain causes disordered eating. So I was having pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I was eating everything, everything that I normally would not eat. I was trying to eat something, anything that would make me feel better. And so, we call that what? Emotional eating. Eating to try to, soothe an emotional state. My emotional state was depressed, okay? Because not only was I feeling bad, and of course I felt like I was looking bad because I was feeling bad. So I ate and ate and ate, okay? So I developed some very, very bad habits that needed to be eliminated. So number 2, again, is you have to fix your mindset. You have to visualize your goal. So in my visualization, I visualized myself at my normal weight, doing my normal activities and acting what? Normally. Okay, so that's number 2. You got to fix that mindset. Okay, I have my cards here because I want to be sure to give you all the hacks in order for a change. Okay, let me just have a little sip of water. One thing about when you're losing weight, one of the side effects is you can get dry mouth. And man, oh man, I have had dry mouth, something awful. So, number 3 is you need to put your eating habits under a microscope, okay? get that microscope out or that magnifying glass and analyze your patterns, okay? Once you start looking at what you're doing, you're going to see a pattern. And so I saw a pattern in what I was doing, okay? I'm going to tell you some of the terrible, terrible bad habits that I was doing, okay? First of all, because I was in so much pain all the time, I could not sleep. You know, you have to sleep at least 8 hours a night. I was sleeping maybe 2 hours. In the meantime, I was thrashing around in the bed trying to get to sleep, and I never could get to sleep. So when you don't sleep, what happens is your body releases cortisol. Also, when you're in pain like that, your body releases cortisol because it goes into the fight or flight mode. So I was releasing a lot of cortisol. I could not sleep. Because I couldn't sleep, I would be watching a bunch of Netflix junk, okay? And while I was watching Netflix junk or Lifetime movie or whatever, what was I doing? I was sitting there eating up everything, okay? Some of my favorite junk, let me tell you about it, okay? Mike and Ike's, you know those little candies that come in the green box? Lord have mercy. I would have 1, 2, 3 boxes of Mike and Ike's. Did it make me feel better? No, it did not, but I did it anyway. I like chocolate covered pretzels, flips, and you notice the pattern there is I have a sweet tooth, okay? And then I want to eat up a bunch of popcorn, and it wasn't just plain or air popped, okay? It had butter, okay, and a lot of salt, okay? So we're going to get salt. It's going to cause inflammation and water retention. You know, I was just a mess. I was trying to eat anything and everything that I thought could, you know, help me feel better. Of course, nothing did. So I saw a lot of the patterns that I had developed, staying up late, eating at night, way past the time I should have cut off my eating. You know, I'm talking about staying up to 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning just because I couldn't sleep, and I'm eating the whole time. So my body never got a chance to just really digest the food before the next day because I just kept eating. Then I got up, you know, out of the bed, and then I'm eating again. So those were some of my bad habits and the things that I was eating. Now, I know you guys are not angels, so I want to hear about it down in the comments section. What do you eat that you know good and well is nothing but a bunch of junk, but you eat it anyway, okay? Don't make me feel like I'm the only one, because I know I am not, okay? Now, let me see something here. All right, so now, number 4 is I suggest that you, once you put your habits under the microscope and see those patterns, the next thing you have to do is commit to making a change. And let me make other suggestions. Commitment requires discipline. You don't just say you're going to do something. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start my diet next week. You know, make a commitment. This is important. This is not just about how you look. It's about your health. And so I'm going to disclose something to you that was, very concerning to me, because I went to the doctor, I had blood work drawn, and my A1C was all the way up to 5.7. Now that's getting into the pre-diabetic category, and that was a no for me, okay? My doctor explained to me that when you are releasing a lot of cortisol, that it can make your blood glucose spike. And so that's what we think happened, because even though I was not that overweight at the time, sometimes like if I got up to 170, 180 or something like that, and that only happened when I was pregnant and I had gestational diabetes. Anyway, my normal reading would be between 5.5 and 5.4. So now this concerned me. And I said, no, this is for my health. I don't ever want to get diabetes, because that is also linked to heart disease. I want to stay healthy. I want to be around my relatives. I want to have my husband. We only been married like, what, seven years? It's either 7 or 8, okay? But we haven't been married that long. And you know, when we got married, we said that we wanted to be with each other for the rest of our lives. So what do I look like doing something to myself that's going to cause that time period to go down? I don't like that. So once I saw that, I said, oh no, I have to make a commitment and I have to be disciplined. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do. This is about your health. This is about your longevity. Comments, please. Now let me go on a little bit. Okay, so you're going to commit to change by making new healthy habits. I'm going to tell you what I did. I set a time limit for what time I want to go to bed. That is 11 o'clock. Sometimes I might sneak over to 11:30 because I'm doing my reading. That's another thing that I had to change. I had to stop looking at those crappy movies, and I had to get out books that were important to me. My daughter just published a book, and so I'm reading her new book. And also, I like to read my Bible. Like to let my Bible reading be the last thing I do at night. So sometimes I'm just so engrossed, and it will go over to 11:30, but I really try to stick with 11 o'clock, and that means I got to cut off that phone at 10:30. I got to start my reading at about 10:45 and then wrap it up, okay, for 11 o'clock. That was a big habit change for me, but I said, I know I have to do this because I have to get my sleep, and that's why they call it, one reason why they call it beauty sleep is because it does contribute to our overall health and wellness and our beauty. So I committed to making those habit changes that I need to do. So that was one of them. I needed to get to bed earlier. I needed to stop eating after 6 o'clock. That one can be kind of tough, and I know, especially for people who work. See, I'm retired. I have my time scheduled pretty much the way I want to, but I understand some people might not be getting home from work until 6 o'clock. So you're going to have to set your own time boundary. But I think the rule of thumb is to stop eating at least 3 hours before you're about to retire for the night. So for me, I try to get it cut off at 6 o'clock. Now, for example, I'm going to be a little late with it today because I got late recording this video. So, you know, I understand life happens, okay? I don't want to be that rigid, although I am. But I'm just saying, I understand sometimes you might not even be home from work yet. Anyway, I started to limit that, cut it off at 6 o'clock. And then that way I had a whole 12, 13, 14 hours for my food to digest and get through my system. And so I feel great the next day. And I'll tell you, when I eat like at between 4:30 and 5, it is optimum for me, you know, as far as digestion goes. And now, I don't do formal intermittent fasting because that's what it sounds like. I don't do that. I just advocate for cutting your food intake off at 6 o'clock, all right? Now, let's see. All right, number 5. This is important. And I will tell you something right up front. I am a counter. I enjoy counting things. I enjoy statistics. So some of these things I'm going to tell you have to do with statistics and counting. And you might say, Crystalline, I'm not that rigid. I can't do that. Well, then don't do it then, okay? These things are for those who want to do them, okay? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I do. So you have to get yourself into a calorie deficit. In case you don't know what that means, a calorie deficit means that you're going to eat less than your body needs to maintain your current maintenance weight. So for example, if you weigh 180 pounds, there's a certain amount of calories that it takes to sustain that 180 pounds. You're going to eat less than that. You're going to exercise so that those calories are not as high as you would normally need. And so what I use to figure out my calories that I needed is called caloriecalculator.com. And here it is here. And on this caloriecalculator.com, you just put in your information, your sex, height, weight, how active you are during the day, and they will give you a number that's going to tell you how many calories you need to sustain your weight, to lose 1 or 2 pounds a week. Well, you're supposed to just be losing 2 pounds a week. That's supposed to be the healthy amount, okay? Everybody's different though. But they'll tell you, eat this amount to lose 1 pound, eat this amount to lose 2 pounds, okay? And so you can go on there and you can get a rough estimate as to what you need to, how many calories you need to eat per day. So you're going to get into a calorie deficit. This has helped me tremendously, knowing how much I should be eating. You know, I can't even tell you how much everything changed when I started to follow the rules, okay? So you want to get into a calorie deficit, and that is my number 5 hack. Number 6, now, you know, I want to show you some of my typical meals, but let me talk about this first. Number 6 is meal prep. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you what a incredible difference this has made in my weight loss journey. You know, before that was one bad habit. Another bad habit that I developed while I was sick. I didn't want to cook anything. I mean, you don't hardly want to cook anyway, okay? But I really didn't want to cook then. I didn't want to have to chop anything. Chopping is not my favorite thing to do. I don't want to have to stand at the stove and cook anything. I was in pain, okay? So sometimes I would come home and I would just want to fall in the bed, basically, because it was it was all I could do to just keep going through the day. And I was determined not to let this condition get me down or keep me from being who I was. But I must tell you, while I was going through that, I did not feel like myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever had a time in your life where you just didn't feel like yourself? Well, I didn't feel like myself. So, you know, I would just get home. I didn't want to make anything. You know, I wanted to eat something, but I didn't want to cook anything. So what did I do? I ate a bunch of junk that was in the cabinet. You know, maybe what are those things? Those sesame, you know, salty sesame sticks that I used to love, you know, and the other junk that was aforementioned. That's what I would be eating. Now, meal prepping for your allotted calories is going to go way far with helping you in your weight loss journey. So I started to meal prep. And so before I go on, let me show you some of my meals that I kind of eat on a regular basis. Now this is a typical lunch for me, and what it is cottage cheese with green onions and also a turkey burger. And then for the dessert, I have a plum. Now in this turkey burger, it is 93% lean, so it only has about 25 grams of protein. The cottage cheese has 15 grams of protein, and the plum doesn't have any protein, but this is adding some extra protein to my nutrition plan for the day. I often like to have a plant-based lunch, and so this is the Ezekiel cinnamon raisin sprouted bread, and I put about a tablespoon of peanut butter on here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I also put the Ceylon cinnamon on here because the Ceylon cinnamon also helps to regulate blood glucose. And of course, I have my favorite little afternoon snack for lunch, and that is a plum. Now after this, I'm going to go walking for about 50 minutes to further regulate that A1C. It is kind of a high protein meal for me. The cottage cheese there has 14 grams of protein, and this turkey burger has 24 grams of protein. And I'm pairing it with my favorite salad, of course, to get the whole foods. This is a typical dinner here. I have a big salad with romaine lettuce, some sprouts. Those are broccoli sprouts. some roast chicken, tomato, red pepper, and what else I have in here? Oh, cucumber. And this is what I have for dinner, and then I go for my after dinner walk. Here's my typical snack. Red and green grapes. And some of you guys might say, well, grapes have a lot of sugar, and I say, so what, okay? If I can't have the sugary things that I like that are processed, I'm going to eat the heck out of these grapes. Here is another one or two of my favorite snacks, and those are strawberries and blueberries. You know, these things are so filled with vitamins and minerals, and you can eat these little blueberries until the cows come home, and you will never ever gain an ounce. And so I have substituted my sweet, nasty Mike and Ike's for these wonderful good fruits. And you know, these are packed with vitamins and minerals, and they're, you know, antioxidants, and they're just wonderful also for your skin, and it will keep your skin glowing. My husband just went shopping, so we have some more green grapes that I really, really love. We have some, let's see, red pepper, some little Roma tomatoes. These are my favorites, and also some cucumbers. And so this is, you know, my beauty quotient. All these things not only are good for sustaining your maintenance weight loss, or when you get to your maintenance weight, but they're also good for weight loss, filled with vitamins and minerals. Did you know that these red peppers are actually filled with vitamin C? I didn't know it. I had to do my research. So these are some of the things that he got today, in addition to the watermelon. Now, my husband can be somewhat of a diet saboteur, so he got these nasty Ruffles potato chips, and he don't have to worry about me eating them because they're cheddar and sour cream. Yuck. And so last but not least, let me show you this one picture, which I think is really funny. I was in the store grocery shopping one day, and this is what I had in my cart. And there was a gentleman, wait a minute, this was just before Labor Day, okay? There was a gentleman behind me in line, and he looked at my food and he said, you know, it ought to be illegal to eat that healthfully. And I just thought that was so funny, but it was a compliment, which I really appreciated. So we want to focus on whole foods, and that means unprocessed, okay? Get rid of all the high calorie bread, you know, with no nutritional value. If you can find something like Ezekiel bread, which is a very, very healthy bread. Hold on a minute, I'm going to show you what it looks like.